Why Prince William has been crowned the Selfie King.
And how Meghan Markle can avoid a disastrous new podcast launch. Hello, welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show that dives into the fascinating world of two of the most recognized royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle right here in California.
And I'm Rupert Bell, and I'll be bringing you updates, as usual, on what's going on in the lives of the Princess of Wales.
Now, Rupert, when I talked to you last week, you said, first of all, when we get to Meghan Markle, she just launched a new website and it's not as ever. And I'll break that down for you in a second because it's a conversation you and I have had a million times. But when I spoke to you briefly last week, you told me that there was a lot going on when it came to the royals and the sporting world. So what did you witness out there? Did you have any encounters? And give me the latest on where royalty meets sportsmanship.
Well, you're obviously going back to my sort of home territory, so you've basically given me a nice easy hit, haven't you? So to go in with sport and the royal family. Look, the Prince of Wales, obviously there was a big splash about his love of Aston Villa. I know we've talked about that, but it was sort of confirming everything that we know, and that basically he's like any sports fan who roots for a team. And at the same time, he then gets very nervous when his team loses and then starts going into a sort of superstitious meltdown like we all do about moving rooms, moving George here, probably moves Charlotte and says, you've got to go to bed now because we need my team to win now. Louis probably been told, sit quiet for a change and behave normally while my team are losing 1-0. But it just reflects his passion for Aston Villa. And as you know, I'm a season ticket holder. But we've heard a lot about that. Then we saw, obviously, rugby has a place in America, but it's a sport you probably don't see a lot of. But the Prince and Princess of Wales were at the rugby game in Cardiff featuring Wales and England, which England absolutely walloped Wales. And we saw them in Cardiff having a good day out. But obviously, from a family point of view, one team lost horribly, which was Wales, and one team won. England absolutely walloped. So it would have been quite interesting how the dynamic worked out between the two of them. But it shows their love. We know that the Princess of Wales loves her sport, and is a reasonable hockey player, I think, and has played. And she is a patron of the All England Tennis Club as well, where I'm sure we will see her probably more often than we did last year, where she made one appearance, because obviously she's now out and about and she absolutely loves it. So I expect to see her probably a couple of times. But obviously on the sporting front, maybe William will be planning his jolly to Paris to see our beloved Aston Villa playing in their home leg at the beginning of April. But the sporting front, it shows, obviously they're using it as a PR. It's soft PR because they can easily resonate as genuine sports fans. And in William's case, we've seen pictures. We know he loves going to Villa Park. It's not fake. We know celebrities sometimes latch onto a football club. Tom Hanks is a celebrity fan of Aston Villa. And I know he's been to the games, but he would not be in the same class of Prince William, who is a dedicated follower of the Claret and Blue based in Birmingham.
Absolutely. The pictures of him losing his mind are hilarious. After the Super Bowl, I remember Beyonce asking some media outlets to remove unflattering photos of her because they were not very flattering. And the pictures of Prince William are crazy, but like you said, because they're so genuine and sincere, you love them. Like you're like, that's not an unflattering picture. You're like, that's hilarious. I love that he has that in him.
But that's what you do. If you're a dedicated sports fan, you lose the plot and you suddenly start hugging people that you don't really know. Isn't that the game? Look, he's around his group of people that he knows, but you could see that he was genuinely happy, like all of us. I feel for the poor photographer who's got to be basically trained on him. He's not actually watching the brilliance of our team winning matches because they have to be trained, your job, William shots. Okay, they go around the world. But it's good to see him being enjoying being a normal person as much as he can be within the confines of his status.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's stay on the Prince William train. I thought this was a little bit of an aggressive headline. Why Prince William decided to eliminate Queen Elizabeth's no selfie rule completely. Rupert, there's been an evolution in when since the queen was the queen. Technology has evolved. I remember in my youth running around with a digital camera. I always had a digital camera on me because my phone didn't have a camera on it yet. It was a flip phone. I don't know if the queen ever had a no selfie rule. I think she just had a procedure that was known to her from a young age, that was safe for her, that had been approved by her security guards. And standing and having, and she was also petite, standing, having hundreds of people clamoring towards you against one of those wiggly gates is just not a realistic thing. I don't know if Prince William eliminated anything that ever actually existed. I think he just is evolving with the time.
I think absolutely right. You're right. The Queen was a small person, and actually, when the selfie craze comes in, she's already an elderly woman,
Mhm.
and so and it would be against. You have to do something if you're a member of the royal family that you are comfortable with. It should never feel forced, and that's a life lesson. Full stop. Just do what makes you feel comfortable. Being in the royal family, you're in a goldfish bowl, and when you're out, you know you have to go and give 100%. The Queen, if she suddenly started standing there and someone going posing for the Queen, that would be so against what she was about. I think we've seen the King do it occasionally, or he'll
Mhm.
suddenly be videoed out and about as we saw him on the streets. But I don't think he's yet quite ready for the King to become the king of the selfies. But for Prince William, it's natural.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel forced. Him doing it, he knows that he's engaged with that member of the public and made their day. Look at me. I've got a selfie with whatever, with the future king. It really is, feels natural. And seeing where he's going, it probably does give the security people a little bit of a headache, but there's enough of them around to know. And as you know, they're fully aware of the situation. And I'm sure he's aware of the situation. And he will be picking his intended selfie victim carefully, I'm sure. And I think it's a perfectly normal thing to do in the modern royalty, as long as you don't overdo it. Don't think you've got to get because then everyone will want it. You've just got to say, right, a couple here, that's it, move on, shake a few hands, hello, whatever, move on. But let's not make sure it's overdone, because then I think we'll go, maybe not, just stand back. But for those lucky people who get one, I'm sure they will treasure that, and it will be a photograph that's on their sideboard or whatever pretty quickly.
It's funny because with both Prince William and Catherine, they have almost a strategy. It's like they go for the dog, they go for the baby. You if you have a certain, if you come prepared with certain items. I mean, I'm going to be borrowing my nephews if I have to. They typically head towards the baby or the dog, and it's cute to watch them engage. Those are just really great moments when they engage with babies and dogs. He'll make a joke if he's with the Princess of Wales that no more babies, and then that's all the headlines are about how Catherine wants six more. But yeah, it's fun to see. I think the last time I saw him in person was in London, and maybe it was for the coronation. But I couldn't believe how animated and kind and engaging he was with everyone, because we typically cover the gossip and the drama in this sphere. I imagined that his heart was still hurting over his brother, but it was everything I'd ever hoped for: over the top, silly, making jokes about how he couldn't get Catherine in the car, and just absolutely precious. So I'm not surprised that he's willing to take pictures with people. I think that's just who he is. And like you said, it's the way he grew up. I mean, he's probably taking selfies with his kids at home when they're, together. And it's probably a much more comforting thing for him. Talk to me about the selfie video he made for this British icon and how his willingness to participate in things like this and use his camera phone is actually opening him up to so much more positive exposure.
Well, it's a no-win. And yes, I'm sure there are viewers of Airs as Pairs from around the world who would have come across the Great British Bake Off. And one of our iconic hosts of that was Mary Berry. And she has been around, I think she would be the equivalent of Martha Stewart in the States or someone like that. Just the nation's favorite grandmother, or maybe in this case, great grandmother. But so very endearing. Yet she's still going strong, working, and yet her 90th birthday has been celebrated as if she is the queen of and the nation. And so the prince did record this message, just saying, and quite cleverly saying, heaven forfend the person who's made the cake, because obviously you're under a lot of pressure to get it absolutely right. So it touched it right, and it's easy to do.
Hi, Mary. I want to wish you a very happy 90th birthday. You are a true national treasure, and we've loved working with you over the years. Have a fantastic day today. I dread to think who's cooking your cake and the criticism they might get, but good luck, and I hope it goes really well.
It looks like it's recorded probably in his garden, and we all know you can record that in 10 seconds, 2 takes later, email it into the BBC. Next minute, it's on national prime time. And we've actually, one thing I have been noticing, there are many more tweets just coming out from the royal family, whether it just be signed by the Princess of Wales, or they just are using X as a means just to pass on congratulations or whatever to various people. It is interesting. I don't know whether you've noticed it, but it just seems to be a little bit of an up in the ante in that, you feel it might be just to keep a balance in check against the other side, if you see what I mean. I may be overanalyzing it, but they are definitely playing a social media game now. And being selfies and doing videos and doing little things like that are all part of the way that actually helps the royal family feel that they at least understand what everybody else does do on a regular basis. I mean, I hate taking selfies because I always end up with a bad selfie face because I've always got the camera in the wrong place, and it always looks a bit weird. But for everybody else who knows how to take a selfie, I may not be of that generation, but I'm not a fan of taking a selfie because I end up looking gawky.
I highly doubt that. I wonder, when you say that you feel like they're more active on X and perhaps that's to stay one step ahead. I do wonder if that is a strategic decision, because how can Harry and Meghan have a presence on X when Prince Harry specifically is repeatedly so highly critical of Elon Musk? For Prince Harry to try to create some personality on X where he's a thought leader and he wants to post quotable things. I mean, the Invictus Games does have a presence on there, but for Prince Harry to try to brand himself on X, not that they're not above looking like hypocrites, because almost Meghan Markle told us 3 weeks ago she wasn't an influencer, and today she launched her commission-based website. So not that they're above blatantly coming off as hypocrites, but I do think that it would look ridiculous for Prince Harry to try to have a regular presence on that platform when he just loves teasing, challenging, pushing Elon Musk, who probably doesn't even know he exists.
Well, I think, Donald Trump's made it quite clear that everyone knows he didn't. And Elon Musk, seeming to be the right-hand man of your president at the moment, probably does know exactly. And it does show there's an awful lot of hypocrisy around about Elon Musk. You name it. One minute he's the savior of the green world. Now he's working with President Trump. There's all sorts of things going on that you just work out. It's a confused and troubled picture. But in terms of the royal family, we have to look. There's an awful lot of hypocrisy within Meghan and Harry, because one minute they don't, as we always say, they hate being in the royal family. But my goodness me, when it comes to having embossed letterheads that looks royal and everything else that goes with it, it tells me they are basically they want their cake and eat it. And judging by Meghan's, it was a pretty dry cake in that program. I wouldn't have touched it, if sorry, I've just put that in there. It didn't look as if it was going. It sounded like it might have needed a lot of cream and custard to eat that one. But anyway, I digress. But I would suggest that that is the problem with Harry. For William, and sort of keeping it in what his new look, being on social media, doing these quick visits here and there, that is his now sort of modus operandi, like going to Estonia, supporting the British troops there, showing support for Ukraine quite clearly, meeting people who've left, Ukrainian refugees. It's all part of the way he wants to operate, which is a sort of, I think he was there for 36 hours, but a absolutely packed schedule so that he could get back, in his case, to be back with the children at the weekend and be pitchside watching his children play some form of sport. It's a very different approach instead of going on these long tours. I don't think we'll see that. But they will have to do the odd one because you can't go to Australia for 36 hours. So they're going to have to look at how they manage their schedule. But of course, we are still in the recovery phase for the Princess of Wales. But let's be honest, she does look at the moment in good health and things are going along nicely. So hopefully they will feel that it will be possible to do 4 or 5 day tours. And okay, holidays are always sacrosanct for them. So, but they can't just shut up shop for holidays.
But you're right that I like that you mentioned that while these tours might be brief, they're using social media to magnify the impact. And I don't know if we acknowledge that enough, how clever that is. That because I still debate with people how important the mystery of the British royal family is. Actually, I think I told David Dimbleby I thought they should be on social media less. I think I fought that, saying it's so important that there's this mystery that surrounds them. But your argument is absolutely correct that to maintain this work and home life balance that they have created around the Princess of Wales healing and cancer, cancer fight, they have to use social media to magnify and to amplify, I should say, their message and to say, here's what we did, here's why we did it, here's how you can help. It has become such an important tool for them because before social media, they did have to leave. Well, the Queen left 4 months at a time. But Prince William and Catherine would leave for weeks, weeks, and cross their fingers that the press was favorable towards them and would project the right message that their goal was to do. While we're here, we hope you talk about this, not what Catherine's wearing. And now they have a little bit more control over the messaging and how the world views what they did, even if it's in a shorter amount of time. So I think that that's really important. David Dimbleby, if you're watching, I take it back, cut it out, remove, fix and edit.
Well, I think the issue is, remember they did that Caribbean tour where a lot of the optics suddenly looked a bit too backed into the days of the sort of Raj and it didn't come across brilliantly. So there is an element of trying to manage it correctly. But he can't use it as an excuse for not doing stuff. He has to make sure that he's seen to be out there. And yes, family comes first, but everyone works and every family is juggling a schedule around children and everything. Of course, there are more demands, but in many cases, he does have the support network to enable him to do it because it's not as if he's worrying about booking his train ticket to get to A, B, and C. It's been done by lots of other people to make sure that he can get around. So he knows, but obviously, he does want to value his time with his children. They are still young. They are still, he wants to feel that he can be a valued parent in difficult circumstances with his mother. But I do think the public he must be aware that whatever he does, he is able to give of his all. And the social media aspect enhances the publicity around what he's done, because obviously the Estonia trip was much talked about. We know Ukraine is focusing a lot of people's minds, and him being out there shows that the royal family are out there supporting our troops, of which is a very important part of being a member of the royal family, is being with our armed forces.
Is there anything you wanted to add about the Estonia trip? I briefly spoke about it last week. I asked Dickie Arbiter if Prince William would be putting himself in danger at all. Dickie said absolutely not, that he wouldn't be going there. Were in danger. But I think I meant fanatically. Like, could somebody that's a fanatic about this war be angry over Prince William's clear position when it comes to Ukraine? And even so, maybe Prince William maybe Dickie was trying to say, like, look, that support team is impeccable, which is great. But did you have any feelings about it?
I look, the royal family are the security threat would be assessed. Look, it was an exercise. It wasn't going into the front line. It was a NATO exercise designed to support the Estonians, because obviously they are bordering Russia, and maybe they are perceived as a potential somewhere that could come under threat from Russia potentially. Now, him being there, of course, he's driving a tank. I mean, the only security issue there is he a good tank driver? But actually, he's probably not actually driving the tank. I mean, I've been in an armored personnel carrier, and there will be somebody down below who will be driving it. He's stuck his head above the parapet, and he's sort of like the commanding officer, I assume. But I don't think he was left hand down a bit, right hand down a bit. So that might have been the only security concern. But every royal trip has to be worked out from a security point of view. And as we know, if someone wants to get you, they will try and find a way. But in real terms there, no. I think he was always in the service environment. Okay, he was out on the streets, but again, you felt he was very much on terra firma, safe ground. So I wouldn't have thought there was any undue security risk. But just as as we all know, never say never, because we've seen some pretty horrendous things, and you never know, there may be somebody who has decided this is the moment. But I think
Horrible,
Prince
horrible.
William have gone there with the British government. He's gone with their blessing, would make sure that it's not going to be a security issue.
Perfect. Well, that gives me a little bit more confidence. Like I said, or like you said, I've seen some things in my lifetime over the last 2 years that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. I thought I just would read about those things in history books. And unfortunately, in today's world, you just don't know. I want to talk to you about an interesting piece from Newsweek. They spoke to an expert, and the title of the piece is How Meghan Markle Should Avoid Podcast Disaster After Netflix. Edward Coram James is a PR expert and chief executive of Go Up. And I thought this was really interesting, this advice he gave Meghan Markle about how to avoid another disaster when it comes to a podcast. He said, no more interviews with celebrities. No, if you were trying to look relatable, if you were trying to look down to earth, which I don't know if that's ever been an objective for Meghan Markle, but I understand why her team would say you need to take it down a notch because this is ridiculous. He said no more celebrity interviews. First of all, I'd ask what your opinion is there. Do these celebrity interviews, which we know Meghan pursues, for an easy listen. Now Mariah Carey fans are listening to your podcast. Now Paris Hilton fans are listening to your podcast. And also Meghan knows you are who you associate with. So having been at the bottom of the call sheet for her entire life, she's trying to associate with all of these celebrities because she wants to be one. But, if that truly is the advice that you, perhaps me and this guy believe, her new Shop My webpage, where she's an influencer selling products she likes for commission, there's nothing realistic about a regular girl buying a $500 handbag. Yeah, maybe I'm just out of my depth here, but like as a fan of somebody, I don't think I could just afford to buy something because somebody that I like has it that's $500. And I'd like to know what your reaction there is. Is she trying to be a regular girl? I don't see that.
Well, can you be a regular girl living in the sort of lifestyle that you live and the sort of people you mix with? They live in this sort of gilded, high net worth world that is, far removed from where 95, 99% of the population live. And California is full of people who live in this gilded world, who live closeted from real people. And so they have a very, Meghan probably has a slightly warped, idealistic view of, and wants to elevate to use her phrase, to elevate everybody to by her little tips here and bringing up to her world, which is so far removed from where most of us live. And she's living in her sort of Montecito palace, which is so where the problem is, what she's got to learn to do is learn how to interview and learn how to get stories of the person she's interviewing, and it's not about her.
No, yeah,
Now,
that's good advice. But do you think that that's good advice. This guy doesn't go there. I think that's the best advice. That's all this guy should have said. But I think Meghan is going to still try to interview celebrities that while she says it's about female founders, I think she's going to want people again. I heard Reese Witherspoon denied her the first go around. I think she wants people like Reese Witherspoon, who built Hello Sunshine, the production company. I think she wants people like Joanna Gaines. And I know some people might go, oh, Joanna's so sweet, she would never associate with her. Well, I signed an NDA, so I can't really talk about this other person. But I know for a fact that Joanna recently met with another infamous bully. So Joanna might do something with Meghan Markle based on who I've seen her associate with elsewhere. I think she'll still try to keep a toe in this celebrity world because ultimately she's always wanted to be one. This isn't about being a female founder. This isn't about being a female entrepreneur. This is about Meghan continuing to chase that goal of being famous and liked and fame.
She does. But you only can, if you want to maintain that, you've got to feel like you care about your interviewees. She's saying in this podcast, and it's about to help me on my journey to become a successful businesswoman. And my view is just keep it real. You basically want to still be the Duchess of Sussex.
100%.
That's it. And she is living off that. And there's no two ways about it. The reason people are interested in her, is because she is the Duchess of Sussex and married to a member of the royal family, although not a working member. You can rewrite it any other way you like. That's why she's getting traction. And that's what various people have said, whether it be Vanity Fair or other people. The only is that because of who she is and the anyway, I can't even say the word notoriety that goes with it. So that's where I feel she needs to step back and say, what are the good podcasts? They're the ones that are natural, engaging. And it's actually, if you're going to have a guest, you make them feel loved, appreciated, and you're gleaning something from them. Whether she's learnt that from the experience of the Archetypes podcast, then that remains to be seen. But I don't think, unless I've got it wrong, she takes advice easily.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so that may be part of the problem why a lot of any criticism will fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, and I still don't understand why the podcast is about the build of As Ever instead of the content surrounding As Ever. I mean, I would have been like, okay, I have this new lifestyle website. I think it's just going to be a knockoff of the TIG, except there's going to be a retail arm. Well, she used to do TIG Talks, where she talked to celebrities like Michael Bublé, and I would just do TIG Talks on my new Limonada podcast, and then I'd take the transcript and I drop it on As Ever. And there you've created content for your website and you've created content for your podcast. I mean, now that is a celebrity, and this guy's saying no more celebrities, but Meghan doesn't want to talk to normal people. Meghan doesn't want to look normal. A woman doesn't stand there in pristine white cooking a spaghetti dish. There's nothing normal about this person. And I guess my point about the purses and her doing this new influencer page is those are investment pieces. Those are like all of these pieces she has. The cost to me, that's an investment piece, $500 for a bag or a necklace, and none of it pops out. They're not statements. They're not, so if I walked down the street holding that handbag, nobody's going to stop me and say, oh my God, I love that hand. It's so bland. Nobody's going to stop me and say, I love that. You know, it's, if I'm going to fill my closet full of such basic things, I'm going to go to the Gap and shop the clearance section, because they all just, it's all very, very basic and beige. I don't think she has a realistic understanding of who her audience is, what they want to spend their money on, what they realistically can spend their money on. And I don't know. Like I just sit back well, you mentioned it yourself, the Graydon Carter, the Vanity
Yeah.
Fair editor. I read a quote from him that said she everything Harry and Meghan could possibly get wrong, they get wrong. And to me, this is another example of that.
Well, I do think they get an awful lot wrong, and you've got to learn, it's fine. Um, we know the royal family. When the Princess of Wales wears anything, people want to go out. If it's a, I don't know, whatever brand it is, that it's. We know they have an ability to sell items because there's, oh, that coat looks good or whatever, and that bit of we know there is an element that whatever the royal family, particularly the Princess of Wales, it's the same. And then obviously Meghan is trying to tap into that type. But you've got to have realistic. £500 for a handbag or anything. If it's clothes, her strawberry jam, she's going to have to sell an awful lot of this, strawberry jam for it to turn a profit around, and other things, because the fashion industry is littered with failing companies because it's the margins to turn it round. You can hear all sorts, maybe even Posh Spice. It's very hard for even her to make money with all her brand name, with her haute couture. I'm out of my depth here, Lynn. Kinsey, you may have to rescue me in a minute.
Haute
But
couture. Yeah, well,
haute
no, you're right,
couture.
because Tom Bauer said that David Beckham basically he was financing this. What did he call it? Tom Bauer said that David Beckham was really just financing this ego project, I guess it was. I mean, I know her makeup line is somewhat successful, but yeah, it's a really difficult space. And I want to just say for the record that I predicted this. I remember being on Australia television and feeling like an idiot because I was so excited to try to explain it. But I said it was going to be like a triangle where Meghan invests in a company and then she posts about the company on As Ever to promote the company. So she is, if the company's successful, she's financially successful. But then I also said that she was going to post on As Ever, but now we know it's this other website. Maybe she'll do both. It's actually unacceptable to me that As Ever still doesn't exist, by the way, knowing what resources she has. But I felt like she would post direct to sale commission based links on As Ever. So she would get commission based on those sales, or the brands would give her, similar to Instagram, a lump sum to post about their brands on As Ever. But I was like, she's making money in multiple different, either way, she's like making money like an influencer would.
Well,
She's an influencer. And then she tells people she's not. She's an
yeah,
influencer.
well, she isn't. Look, she was before, and she sees herself as basically, if looking from a royal family, will think it's cheap and tacky. But she's made a decision to go the commercial route, and she is cashing in. And Prince
Literally.
Harry just seems a sort of person in the background, sort of, nodding gently every so often, while his wife tries to get back to her former roots with all the stuff she's doing. But there's a lot of happened, and it's going to take. Look, in a year's time, if she's starting to make money and the stuff is good, then we have to applaud. But the early indications are no. But
Well, I think the way she's done it conveniently is that we will really have no idea how much money she makes in commission. That, And that was my argument when I just talked to somebody about how much money she could make as an influencer, which I think the people that have said $1 million per post, Kim Kardashian makes a little over $1 million per post. And she has hundreds of millions of followers. Meghan still hasn't hit her 3 million, which she claimed she had before she married Prince Harry. So I highly doubt she can get 1 million per post. But as a brand, they actually can see the return on investment, the engagement. And what Meghan Markle has done with her account is she's hidden comments. So you really can't see how many people are actively excited or willing to purchase any sort of product she were to promote on there because of the way that she controls what she posts. And I think it's the same way. I don't know if we'll ever be able to see analytically what the click-through rate is, how many people actually buy whatever she's trying to sell. And for her, that's perfect because her failures end up headline news and they stick with people. Like Spotify, we talk about it religiously, and that's what she's trying to avoid. But it also seems a little unethical that she would allow people to give her a significant amount of money when there is no proof of success, when you look at her professional failures.
Well, I think the jury's going to be out, but there's no such thing as bad publicity as even with this With Love Meghan. Okay, they've made the second series. There are now talk that Netflix are going to sign on. I don't know whether that's true, and that there's talk that Harry's going to be able to do a documentary on his mother, which will be one-sided, because I'm sure it won't feature other members of the royal family. But for Meghan, it's she craves the love and affection of her public. Well, I mean, if she saw some of the reviews, and even in the States with those, and you would have seen them, the people lampooning it's a rocky road for her. And maybe she should sell Rocky Road and give it the as ever twist.
Throw some berries in there and call it a
Yeah, but
parfait.
it is, to me. I I'm deeply suspicious. I'm cynical of where they are at. She's trying to make money and exploiting people who might not be able to afford to buy stuff anyway. And look, there will be people, and she does reach out. And if in marketing, people will look at someone and say, "Oh, we get her to do it and give her." And whether we can get some fallout, there will be enough people buying this product. It's a cynical world out there. So, and they will exploit Meghan. But we know ultimately the reason they're using her now is because she's, as I've said already, connected to the royal family. And there's no other reason. It's that is driving everything. And that's why she is desperate why we got the Meghan Sussex line. It's all about where she's at, even though she doesn't even really know where Sussex is.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I don't think she knows where Sussex is. It's so funny because I made a Meghan Markle inspired Amazon list and I put a guide to Sussex because I was like, I think she needs this. We might need to send her a copy. All right, agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Rupert, it was great to get all my sports knowledge from you this week, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Where are you headed next on your adventures?
Well, I've got a bit of stuff, but then if you remember a film called International Velvet or National Velvet, which featured Elizabeth Taylor, I'm heading up to the Grand National at Aintree, which is one of the great sporting festivals where the people of Liverpool just embrace 3 days of mad mayhem. But of course, we have a big famous horse race, which is, in terms of this country, very much like the a Kentucky Derby or the Melbourne Cup. So it is a race that stops the nation. And next time I'm with you, it'll be 2 days after my trip to Liverpool, heading into Easter week. So I shall look forward to regaling you with tales of daring do of how I survived a week at the Aintree Grand National Festival. And I'm sure there will be members of Princess Anne might even make a visit. You never know. One or two of the horsey ones might make a visit up there. It's great fun. So that's my next sporting venture, and I will regale you with tales of daring do when I come back next.
Well, I can't wait. Take lots of pictures and post them on Instagram. That's where I usually watch your adventures.
Well, I'll do what I can. Yes,
I know.
I'll
You're
get
not
with
the
this
selfie
selfie
king.
Instagram
You're not the
thing.
selfie king. You're not. You're just not. You've decided you're not going to even fight for that title, and that's okay. All right. Well, we will talk to you again soon, Rupert. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kinsey.
Bye.
Bye bye.